Video games. Whether you like them or not, they're all over the place. But where did they start? For that answer, I'll have to take you way back. Well, not way back. Like 50 years to 1972 with the creation of Pong, the first official and successful arcade game. It was created by Atari, a company started by Ted Dabney, Nolan Bushnell, and Al Alcorn. Pong promoted the idea of video games into these things called arcades, where kids could play said video games in a public setting. This went on for a while, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. Drugs had an influence on the youth. Well, at least that's what the news outlets said. The real reason is home gaming. That's right. Your PlayStation is the reason we don't have Pac-Man and Chuck E. Cheese anymore. Thanks. A lot. Jokes aside, the quality of home gaming surpassed the arcade machines and eventually itself. That is until it revived itself? But don't take it from me. Meet my dad, a video game guru.
Awesome, Dad. What's your name? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Greg Dodd. Unfortunately, I travel a lot for work. I'm getting ready to leave for Indiana in about 40 minutes. But, you know, this job affords me to, at least allows me to share my passion, you know, and enjoy my passion, which is collecting, playing. My wife would say more collecting at this point, video games.
What made you make a game room? What prompted you to collect games from your childhood or collect these arcade machines around us and the consoles that you display on the screen?
Yeah, it's space. I needed dedicated space to allow to have all this stuff. You know, it's pretty much every home system from the first Fairchild Channel F. I don't have an Odyssey one, but Fairchild Channel F, one of the very early ones, all the way up to the modern stuff, you know, the current generation. And, you know, multiple displays. I'm a big fan of physical hardware or physical games. I'm not a big fan of digital. It's convenient, but then when they turn off the servers, you don't have anything. I like having actual physical games on the shelf, something to look at. I get almost as much enjoyment out of just seeing everything set up on shelves as I do actually playing them.
What was it like growing up in the golden era of arcades before home entertainment came along?
Yeah, I mean, the golden age, all of us Gen Xers, we'd say 1982, that around 1982 to 1983 in the arcade was amazing. That's when all the classics, Pole Position, Zaxxon, you know, Asteroids Deluxe. Well, Asteroids Deluxe was earlier. But my earliest memories are of playing electromechanical games, some of which I have downstairs, that didn't have video. And I remember going to the pizza parlor with my family, and we'd literally play pinball. Of course, pinball was around, although the EM or electromechanical machines with the ding, 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 the bells and stuff, and electromechanical games as well, like where you'd fly a little helicopter around, an actual model would fly around inside, or air hockey, that kind of stuff. And then the first arcade games came out, video games came out. The first one I saw was actually Breakout. In the arcades. Pong was out, but they were basically in bars and I was a kid, so I really didn't see that. Specifically, my older brother came home, running home, and we were all home from school, and he said, you have to come see this game, there's this new game. I'm like, well, what is it? Oh, it's a ghost, or there's ghosts chasing you, and you're a little guy and you can eat a pellet and eat them. And I'm like, what? He said, it's kind of like Breakout, but not really. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, that sounds kind of scary. I don't want to see that crap. And he's like, no, you go check it out. It's cool. And I look, and it ended up being Pac-Man. So, you know, and the rest is history with that one. But yeah, we'd hear the stories in the newspaper where the original Pong was on site at Andy Capp's bar in, I want to say Sunnyvale, California, somewhere up there where Atari was based. And they actually they got a service call. They put Pong on site over a weekend, and they got a call Monday morning, I think it was, and they said, hey, the game's broke already, something's wrong with it. Ted Dabney shows up to check it out, and it turned out there were so many quarters in it, they overflowed and it shorted out the board. So they just cleaned it up and then got it back online. And so from that point on, all arcade games had bigger coin doors. It was fun. I wouldn't give it up for anything. It was amazing I was there at the dawn of arcade games and home video games as well, for the most part, being created. Everything was new.
We're nearing the downfall of the arcade. What impact do you think that marijuana, drugs, or alcohol had on the influence of young children in arcades?
I don't think it's as much as the media will tell you. I think it was more what killed the arcade. No, arcades, I mean, the home systems, as we go through the ages, they got more and more memory and more ability for the programmers in the teams of programmers. Remember the old Atari games and all the ColecoVision, all that stuff, it was generally one guy doing everything. And then it got into the big budget, nothing like what we have now, where the typical AAA video games a much larger budget than even your normal film. You have teams of thousands of people. But even then, the teams started to grow and the games got much more complex. And obviously the graphics and gameplay could match what an arcade and then go much higher even. I think, and quite frankly, newer generations got a little lazier. Or just our life got more convenient. And like, why am I going to go down to the liquor store or the arcade when I could just sit at home and play a game more advanced, technically? And that's what really killed it, I think.
When did the home entertainment, where did that really start? Where were what were the consoles that really brought that along, that really jump-started that genre of gaming?
Okay, well, the first ones, I know there were some hobbyist things, like the Odyssey 1 was basically a printed circuit board, basically, and you'd put overlays on your screen. It was Pong, but you'd put overlays to make it appear to be a different game. I grew up very poor. We didn't have money for the earliest. We're talking, in today's money, those would have been thousands of dollars, to hook up to your TV. We were lucky. We got a Sears Telegames video arcade. It was an Atari VCS, or later called the 2600. That definitely catapulted home video games. That's what started the industry, I feel. Yes, there was the Odyssey 1, there was the Fairchild Channel F, other games, but again, those were kind of like the rich kids. It was a very niche thing at that point. But when the Atari made it mainstream, home computers were rising at this time. You had the Commodore VIC-20, the Commodore 64 came out around 1982. These very powerful home computers that you could do much more advanced games, like I spoke of earlier. The computers really ushered that in, the 8-bit computer line.
Thank you for joining me today. Thank
No
you
problem.
for doing this interview. You have anything else to say?
Well, I'll have my channel online pretty soon, Greg's Game Zone, and I'm going to be documenting the creation of my arcade. I also own roughly 30 arcade games and pinball machines, which is my true passion. And I'll be setting all that up downstairs along with my vintage computer museum, as it were. I have a whole bunch of old computers as well I'd like to set up, so that'll all be on there. I'll be documenting that as well.
Thank you, Dad.
No problem.
You heard the man. Go follow his YouTube channel. I included his old one, Arcade Dude 44, because of the great videos he's made over the years. He hopes to transition over to his new channel, Greg's Game Zone, soon, where you can follow his transformation of his arcade. Watch him journey into the past as he relives the great games of a lost era. Whether you're a gamer of the past, present, or never a gamer, I hope you can appreciate video games as an art in this weird world.